Ridge Mountains. Today, they are old, gentle, sleeping giants draped in soft green. But let us reverse the clock, 300 million years back into the deep past. The trees vanish, the earth screams, the ground splinters and shoots upward into the stratosphere. Gone are the rolling hills. In their place stands a jagged, terrifying wall of ice. You are looking at the Central Pangean Range, mountains that once rivaled the modern Himalayas. They are the scar tissue of a planetary collision, stitching together the supercontinent of Pangea. This is not the East Coast, you know. This is an alien world, forged in violence. Welcome to the birth of the greatest mountain range our world has ever seen. To build a wall this high, you must crash two worlds together. Laurussia meets Gondwana, a slow-motion car crash lasting nearly 100 million years. The crust has nowhere to go but up. Solid rock folds like wet paper. This is the suture zone, the exact line where North America is welding itself to Africa. Driven by tectonic fury, the peaks rise 5 miles into the air, piercing the troposphere. Up here, the air is thin and lethal, a frozen wasteland sitting directly on the equator. This is not just a mountain, it is a barricade, a wall dividing the earth. On the eastern slopes, the mountains catch the moisture. Perpetual storms batter the rock face. But on the west, the rain shadow creates a vast, arid desolation. Two worlds, separated by stone. Glaciers grind the equator. Ice sheets carving valleys where tropical jungles should be. This meltwater carries the mountain itself, washing sediments down to the waiting swamps below. These rivers feed the giants. The water slows, settling into the vast Carboniferous lowlands. The air down here is different. It is heavy, thick, rich with fuel. Oxygen levels have spiked to 35%. The atmosphere is practically intoxicated. With this much oxygen, fire is not just a reaction, it is an explosion. Wildfires tear through these wet swamps, burning hotter and faster than anything in modern history. A world of extremes. Ice peaks above, hyper-oxygenated steaming jungles below. The mountains are so high they physically disrupt the planetary wind currents. They force the atmosphere to reorganize. The Pangean Range dictates the climate of the entire globe. But gravity is patient. Every mountain that rises is already being attacked by the elements. Erosion wars against uplift. The debris of this battle flows down to bury the dead. And in the shadow of these ice giants, life has evolved to be monstrous. Welcome to the coal forests, a kingdom of scales, spores, and silence. These are not trees as we know them. They are giant relatives of club mosses. There are no microbes capable of digesting this wood yet. The dead trees simply pile up, layer upon layer of undying carbon. The mountains bury them, pressing them into black gold. But you are not alone here. The high oxygen allows for a different kind of giant. Meganura, a dragonfly with the wingspan of an eagle, hunting in the mist. It is the apex predator of the air, an insect ruling the sky. On the the forest floor, something even larger navigates the maze of fallen logs. Arthropleura, an 8-foot-long millipede, the largest invertebrate to ever walk the earth. Its armor is thick, powered by the oxygen-rich air that floods its massive body. Monsters in the mud, living in the shadow of the frozen giants. But the world is changing. As we climb the slopes, the swamp gives way to dry land. Here, the synapsids rule, our ancient ancestors using sails to catch the heat. They cling to the dry slopes, waiting. For the mountains are about to turn against them. The Carboniferous party is ending. The rainforest collapse has begun. Away from the water, the world is harder, drier. A land of opportunity for those who adapt. Meet the synapsids. Not reptiles, but the ancient stem mammals from which we all descend. They evolved solar panels made of skin and bone to jumpstart their metabolism in the cool mornings. While the amphibians are tied to the water, the synapsids claim the dry land. This red earth is the future. A landscape forged by the rain shadow of the distant mountains. They develop tools the world has rarely seen. Teeth designed to chew, not just swallow whole. Life here is a constant arms race between the eaters and the eaten on the arid plains. The sun is harsher here without the thick swamp canopy. Survival requires toughness. Water is the only currency that matters, and the bank is rapidly running dry. The dry lands are expanding. The green refuges below are beginning to fragment. The tectonic engine does not stop. The mountains grow taller, locking up the world's moisture in ice. The great Carboniferous rainforest collapse begins. The coal swamps are starving for water. The wet peat, once a carbon sponge, dries out into a continent-sized tinderbox. Fires driven by high oxygen burn underground for centuries, consuming the foundations of the forest. The sky turns choked and gray. The golden age of the swamp is ending in ash. As the forests die, the oxygen crashes. The atmosphere becomes thinner, harder to breathe. Giants are the first to fall. The air is no longer thick enough to support them. The monsters of the mud return to the dust. An entire ecosystem wiped clean. The green world is gone. Pangea is now a red supercontinent, dominated by vast deserts. But for our ancestors, this apocalypse is an opportunity. The dry world is theirs to inherit. The mountains stand triumphant. They have remade the world in their own brutal image. But now, the long war of attrition begins. Wind and rain against solid rock. Gravity demands payment. Every stone that rose up must eventually come down. The rivers become conveyor belts, carrying the disassembled mountains out to the sea. The ruins of the range bury the ruins of the rainforest, sealing the carbon away forever. Millions of years pass. The razor-sharp teeth of the range are slowly dulled by time. Life stabilizes. The great drying is over, and a new arid equilibrium is established. They are no longer the Himalayas of their day. They are now merely the Andes. A red sunset over a red world. The legacy of the mountains that killed the swamps. But geology is never finished. The pendulum of deep time is about to swing again. Mountains are eroding, but they still dictate life in the valleys below. In these red canyons, nature experiments with terror. The Gorgonopsids are the first true monsters. They rule a dying world. The collision that built the mountains is over. But the Earth is restless. The forces that stitched Pangea together are beginning to reverse. Tension tears the land apart. Massive rift valleys crack open the heart of the mountain range. Central Pangean Mountains are being unzipped by fire. Magma floods the valley floors. This is the end of the Paleozoic, the Great Dying. The mountains witness the greatest extinction of all. Life is nearly extinguished, but the stones remain, waiting for the smoke to clear. Dawn breaks on the Triassic. The world has healed, but the map is changing. The rift widens. The Atlantic Ocean is born, pouring in to separate the continents. The Great Range is torn in half. One sibling stays in America, the other drifts to Africa. The Anti-Atlas in Morocco, the Appalachians in America. They are the same stone, separated by an ocean, family divided. The mountains that once touched now stare at each other across the sea. On the American side, the violence stops. The mountains settle into a long, quiet retirement. And in their green valleys, a new dynasty rises, the dinosaurs. The Jurassic. The sharp peaks are gone, ground down into rolling, forested highlands. Giants return, but this time, they do not fear the mountains. They feed on them. These peaks, once a frozen barrier, are now a garden for the largest animals to ever walk. Look at the river stones, smooth, round, evidence of millions of years of water erosion. The mountains stopped rising long ago. Now they only crumble. The valleys deepen. The sediments from these eroding peaks wash down to build the coastline of North America. If you sit on a beach in the Carolinas, you are sitting on the pulverized remains of these peaks. The world blooms, flowers appear. The mountains are now ancient, watching the world change again. Even the T-Rex's ancestors hunted here, but the mountains were already old to them. They witnessed the asteroid. They watched the dinosaurs burn, and they remained. Fast forward, the heat fades, the ice returns, the Pleistocene glaciers creep south. Mastodons trek through the wind gaps. The mountains are now a refuge from the crushing ice sheets. The great ice sheets scraped the North Flat, but they halted here. The mountains held the line. When the ice retreated, life flooded back up these ancient slopes. The biodiversity engine restarted. Polished by ice, battered by rain, eroded by time, they have taken their final form. The trees exhale. The smoke of the Smoky Mountains is the breath of a living forest. Humans arrive. They walk the ridgelines, paths worn into rock older than the Atlantic Ocean. Settlers call them the old frontiers. They have no idea how old they really are. We dug into them. We found the black seams, the fossils of the Carboniferous swamp. When we burn coal, we are releasing the sunlight trapped by those ancient moss trees. Today, millions hike the Appalachian Trail. They walk upon the stumps of the gods. This gray stone under your boot, it was once cooked in the heart of a collision. Cross the ocean to Morocco. Here, a Berber herder walks upon the exact same stone. The Anti-Atlas Mountains, the long-lost twin of the Appalachians, stranded on the African plate. If you close the Atlantic, the puzzle pieces fit. One single continuous mountain range. Look at New York City. Its skyscrapers are anchored into the roots of these ancient peaks. Manhattan schist. The foundation of our modern metropolis was forged in the Pangean compression. Our industrial geography was dictated 300 million years ago. We built where the mountains fell. Steel, iron, and coal. The wealth of a nation was born from the erosion of Pangea. We are now releasing the carbon that the great mountains buried. The cycle is complete. They are gentle now. The jagged teeth have been worn down to soft, blue gums. But if you squint, you can see the ghosts, the shadow of a wall that split the world. Water always wins. Given enough time, the river will cut through the mountain. This stone in your hand is a traveler. It has been a peak, a valley, and a beach. The mountains are not dead. They are simply resting, a slow breath in a geological life. They remind us that our world is temporary. Maps are not fixed. They are fluid. To the Earth, the rise and fall of the Pangean Range was just a single heartbeat. We are just the latest tenants, living in the penthouse built by the collision of continents. So the next time you see a soft green hill, remember the ice. Remember the violence that bought this peace. Remember the mountains of Pangea. The story is not over. The Atlantic will not widen forever. In the deep future, the ocean will close. The continents will collide again. A new Pangea will form. New mountains will rise, piercing a new sky. The cycle of supercontinents is the heartbeat of our planet. It beats once every billion years. We are simply living in the lull, the quiet intermission between the great collisions. So touch the stone with respect. You are holding the wreckage of a lost world. These hills are not just scenery. They are the scars of the Earth's violent history. They are the Central Pangean Range, the mountains that define the destiny of life itself. This has been Terra Chronos, watching the world turn one era at a time.